The movie starts with a scene showing a river flowing through a dense forest with a boat slowly moving across its waters. Several men are on the boat, one of whom is lying down. Among them, one explains the notorious reputation of the area, known for its abundance of deadly snakes, including the feared crimson anaconda, a demon believed to have been summoned by a group of cannibals. This huge and aggressive anaconda is notorious for preying on humans. Questioning their destination, one man directs his inquiry to Jeff, who sits facing away from the group near a bottle containing a snake submerged in liquid. While Jeff takes a sip from the bottle, unnoticed by the others, a snake approaches the boat, swiftly seized and contained by one of the men. Expressing the arduous nature of their journey, a reclining man voices discontent over the agreed-upon profit distribution, insisting on a higher percentage upon completion. It becomes evident that they are embarking on a mission orchestrated by Jeff, who has hired them for this undertaking. Venturing deeper into the jungle, they eventually halt along the riverbank. The man providing insights into the snake-infested locale acts as their guide, revealing his reluctance to accompany them further due to inadequate compensation. Relenting to his demands, Jeff offers more money, tossing it onto the floor of the boat, which the guide eagerly retrieves. As Jeff asks if this additional payment is sufficient, the guide confirms, only to be swiftly betrayed as Jeff plunges a dagger into his neck. The guide begins to bleed, and Jeff swiftly kills him by beheading him and tossing his body into the river. Turning to the remaining two, Jeff expresses his disdain for being cheated, which terrifies them. One of them asserts that the agreed-upon price will remain unchanged, prompting Jeff to pat him on the face with his bloody hand. Meanwhile, a crimson anaconda emerges in the water, consuming the guide's remains. Delving deeper into the forest, Jeff's true objective becomes apparent. He's searching for the crimson anaconda. Encountering a snake sculpture and a massive shed of snakeskin confirms the legend's validity. Simultaneously, the other two stumble upon a pit teeming with snakes, filling their sacks with them. As one of them heads back to the boat with the sacks, he spots the crimson anaconda nearby and attempts to flee, but is swiftly captured and killed. The other man, wandering with a sack, falls victim to the same anaconda. Jeff arrives and witnesses the man's demise but refrains from intervening, intending to tranquilize the crimson anaconda after it finishes its meal. However, his plan goes awry when the anaconda is distracted by monkeys and departs, leaving the man's lifeless body behind. Elsewhere, a circus performance unfolds. The circus owner announces a variety of acts, including a bear performance, the strongman Hercules, a dart thrower named Ali, and Gong Lan Lan, who presents an act called Escape the Water. Handcuffed and submerged in a water-filled container, she begins her attempt to free herself. Unexpectedly, a python falls into the container with her, yet she remains submerged even as the allotted time elapses. The lights dim, then illuminate again, revealing that this was all part of the illusion. She emerges unharmed, holding the python. However, the audience becomes irate at the deception. It turns out the bear act is performed by a child named Away in a costume. Outraged spectators criticize Lan's attire as too extravagant for the occasion, prompting her to remove her shirt. When a man attempts to grope her, he is bitten by the python. Later, in the changing room, the owner reprimands the group for their performance. Baoyang, a former member who left 2 years prior, arrives and offers to purchase the axe from Mr. Jean. Ali flirts with Baoyang, who proposes they perform together, promising to elevate them to international stardom. He announces their upcoming trip to Thailand, and the group eagerly agrees, though Baoyang inquires about Lan's participation. However, she departs with her python. Jimmy? The group is aboard the boat, preparing to depart. Dajiu and Away feel disheartened by Lan's departure. However, when Mr. Zhang, portraying a Chinese Taoist, inquires about leaving, Bai Lang informs him that they are awaiting someone. Lan arrives on the boat as well, having been persuaded by Bai Lang to perform one last show with him in exchange for nullifying the others' contracts. Later, Bai Lang retreats to the restroom to discuss a delivery, hinting at a dubious deal involving the others, but accidentally drops his phone into the river. Meanwhile, as he peeks through a gap in the wall, observing Lan changing, a snake slithers onto his leg, biting him in a sensitive area. Fortunately, the snake proves non-venomous, and with the captain's assistance, he dispatches it. The group is also introduced to Bai Lang's cousin, who portrays a zombie. The following day, they encounter an obstruction in the river and attempt to clear it with explosives. However, the blast unleashes a swarm of snakes onto their boat, inciting panic. Lan utilizes a pipe to disperse the snakes with pressurized water. Amidst the chaos, Bai Lang falls into the water and swims toward the riverbank, pursued by a snake. On the riverbank, Bai Lang narrowly avoids being bitten by a snake, but Jeff intervenes, crushing the snake before any harm is done. Together, Bai Lang and Jeff make their way back to the ship. Jeff explains that he had an accident a few days prior, leaving him stranded. Meanwhile, a small snake has crawled into Dajiao's ear, causing him immense pain. Jeff comes to Dajiao's aid, using his own finger as bait to extract the snake from his ear. Away queries how Jeff acquired such knowledge, to which Jeff reveals his background as a wilderness explorer, having acquired various survival skills over time. Later that night, Lan confides in Bailang, expressing doubts about Jeff's claims of being a wildlife explorer. She reveals that the snake removed from Dajiao's ear was poisonous, yet Jeff remained unaffected, suggesting he may possess immunity developed from numerous snake bites. Lan urges Bailang to swiftly remove Jeff from the boat. The captain is fishing when Jeff approaches, offering him money to take him to the location of the Crimson Anaconda, but the captain refuses. Meanwhile, Bailang attempts to persuade Lan to sleep with him, but she rebuffs him, calling him disgusting before departing. As the captain's fishing rod slips into the water, he reaches to retrieve it and is suddenly dragged beneath the surface by an unseen force. The following morning, Lan searches for the captain and discovers Jeff chopping fish and discarding them into the water. Underwater, she finds the captain's lifeless body ensnared on hooks. Jeff admits to killing the captain, dismissing it as the unpredictability of the rainforest where passengers often go missing. As Bailang and the others arrive, they hear a commotion and observe a flock of birds in flight. Jeff warns them of an impending threat, and soon the Crimson Anaconda emerges, becoming ensnared on a hook. Jeff attempts to capture it, but the hook breaks, causing him to plunge into the water. He climbs into a small lifeboat and engages in a struggle with the Crimson Anaconda, managing to inflict injury upon it. The Crimson Anaconda capsizes Jeff's boat, forcing him back onto the main vessel. With gruesome intent, the Anaconda spews forth the captain's lifeless body onto the deck, initiating a ferocious attack on the group. Mr. Zhang and Bailang's cousin are pursued relentlessly, while Jeff valiantly engages the Anaconda in combat, diverting its attention away from the others. Lan, seeking refuge in the cockpit, seizes the captain's crossbow. Meanwhile, Dajiu and Awei hide in the toilet, only to find themselves cornered by the relentless predator. Awei's attempt to seek refuge in the cockpit leads to a confrontation with the Anaconda, while Dajiu manages to temporarily restrain it by trapping its head in a pot. Disoriented, the Anaconda struggles to free itself from the makeshift trap. Amidst the chaos, a fire ignites on the boat, eventually reaching the explosives, resulting in a catastrophic explosion. The group plunges into the water to escape the raging fire consuming the boat. Lan attempts to save Jimmy, her python, but the inferno proves too intense. Upon Awei's urging, she reluctantly abandons her beloved companion and joins the others in the water. As they swim to safety, Bailang mourns the loss of the boat, realizing they won't reach it in time. Lan directs her anger toward Jeff, accusing him of recklessly using their boat as bait, endangering their lives. Jeff defends his actions, asserting that cooperation could have led to great wealth, as the snake is immensely valuable. Bailang's eyes light up at the mention of riches, while Lan vehemently curses Jeff. In the midst of the heated exchange, Bailang insists they must escape the situation. Jeff offers his boat as a means of reaching the port in 2 days, but Lan refuses to trust him, accusing him of the captain's death. Jeff denies the accusation, leaving the group to decide whom to believe. Bailang aligns himself with Jeff, while Awei stands by Lan's side. Suddenly, Ali is stung by a toxic bee, and Jeff reveals that she needs antibiotics within 48 hours to survive. With no other options, the group reluctantly agrees to follow Jeff, who claims to have antibiotics on his boat. The group makes a stop at a stream, where Ali is moments away from drinking water when Jeff intervenes, revealing numerous dead mantises in the water. He warns them of an infectious parasite that induces intense thirst, often leading victims to drown while seeking relief. Spotting a hole at the base of a nearby tree, Jeff uses his hand as bait to catch a python for sustenance. While the group prepares to cook the python, Jeff opts to eat it raw, citing the risk of attracting predators with the scent of cooked food, urging them to hasten their meal. Unable to speak, Dajia gestures to Lan, encouraging her to eat, but she refuses. Bailang offers Jeff a cooked piece of python, receiving a raw piece in return. Bailang tentatively takes a bite but promptly vomits. Jeff notices birds fleeing the area, signaling the approach of the Crimson Anaconda. As it strikes and seizes Awei, Lan and Dajia grab hold of him, allowing Jeff to fend off the anaconda by stabbing it with a makeshift spear, causing it to retreat. A strange parasite infiltrates Cousin's neck, prompting the group to seek refuge in a nearby cave for the night, as snake repellent is present there. Lan and Ali engage in a heart-to-heart conversation about their respective lives. In a flashback, Jeff recounts his initial encounter with the Crimson Anaconda, surviving by hiding in a coffin knocked into the river during the attack. Jeff enlightens Bailang about the exorbitant value of reticulated pythons and the unique nature of the mutated Crimson Anaconda, boasting red spots that make it one of a kind. Jeff proposes that capturing it could secure them enough wealth for lifetimes. Bailang eagerly agrees and reveals his intention to sell the group. Later that night, Mr. Zhang awakens from a nightmare only to discover Cousin missing. Drawn by the parasite, Cousin ventures toward water and falls prey to the Crimson Anaconda. The next day, the group must traverse a watery path with the Crimson Anaconda lurking nearby. In a tragic turn, the Anaconda attacks Mr. Zhang despite Lan's valiant attempt to rescue him. The group reaches the boat where Jeff arms himself and provides Lan with a bag of medicine. While they yearn to return home, Jeff implores them to aid in capturing the Crimson Anaconda. When they refuse, he and Bailang resort to threats, explaining that the Anaconda is vulnerable only when feeding. Jeff decides to tie up Dajiao and Awei as bait to lure the Anaconda into captivity. As Awei pleads with Bailang, the latter callously reveals his intention to sell their organs regardless. Nearby, Ali and Lan are bound, with Ali successfully convincing Jeff of her compliance. He releases her and she manipulates him into a vulnerable position only to find the gun's safety engaged when she attempts to shoot him. Jeff retrieves the gun and prepares to retaliate, but Lan, having freed herself, intervenes by stabbing him from behind. As they grapple, the Crimson Anaconda approaches, nearing Dajiao. Bailang stands poised to ensnare it in the net, only to be attacked by another Anaconda, inadvertently ensnaring Dajiao and Awei in the process, sparing them from harm. Despite initially gaining the upper hand, Jeff's hold weakens as Lan strikes him with a log, causing him to collapse. While the girls rush to free Dajiao and Awei, Jeff is seized and dragged away by an Anaconda. In the chaos, Ali is shot and succumbs to her injuries. Lan, Awei, and Dajiao take refuge in the boat but delay departure. Suddenly, Dajiao is struck by a tranquilizer dart, rendering him unconscious, and Lan realizes that Jeff is responsible. In a flashback, Jeff is revealed to have slain the Crimson Anaconda by decapitating it, and now he sets a trap for the remaining one, using the survivors as bait. As Jeff prepares to capture the snake, a multitude of giant reticulated pythons encircle the survivors. As one of the anacondas prepares to prey on the group, the Crimson Anaconda suddenly appears, devouring its counterpart while the rest scatter. Seizing the opportunity, Jeff pulls the net, but the Crimson Anaconda breaks free, ensnaring Jeff in a tree during the struggle. Though he manages to extricate himself momentarily, he is ultimately captured and killed by the Crimson Anaconda. Awei chews through his bindings, freeing the others as the snake searches for them. Awei seeks refuge in nearby crates, but the Crimson Anaconda discovers him. Just as it is about to strike, Dajiao opens the other end of the crates, allowing Awei to escape. However, the Crimson Anaconda ensnares Dajiao's foot, prompting Lan to intervene and stab it with a large stick. The Anaconda regurgitates Jeff, and Lan diverts its attention, leading it away. She hides in a coffin suspended from a tree, but the Crimson Anaconda finds her, coiling around the coffin and crushing it. Lan escapes through the bottom opening as the group flees. Despite Jimmy's intervention, the Crimson Anaconda devours him, buying the group precious moments. Daji wields a large stick and shoves it into the Anaconda's mouth, while Lan stabs it in the eye. In a desperate bid to evade the relentless pursuit, the group reaches a wire trap set by Jeff. As the Crimson Anaconda emerges from the ground, its head is severed by the suspended wire. The group boards the boat and escapes, but the final scene reveals the headless body of the Crimson Anaconda rising again as the survivors reach safety in a populated area. The movie concludes here.